In this video, I'm going to talk about the itinerary for my upcoming trip to Oxford. I thought it would be fun to give you an insight into how I plan our trips. There's a lot to cover, so this will be a little bit of a long video, and I hope that you find it interesting. I'm going to be traveling with an organization called the English Speaking Union, an organization that fosters study of the English language throughout the world. And the U.S. organization has a program called T-Lab, and they have several different academic programs that allow you to study aspects of the English language abroad. And one of the program I'm going to be doing is called The Story and Future of the English Language. And it's a study of the history of the English language and then how it's changing into the future. Something that interests me quite a bit as the editor of Anglotopia. I majored in English in university, so it's something that definitely ticks all my Anglophile boxes. So I'm really excited about it, and they've invited me to participate in the program like I'm a student, with the proviso that I write and video and photograph the experience and share it with our readers. So I will be leaving on July 15th to do this program. So a little bit specifically about the program. This is the draft schedule that they sent us, and it's a week-long program. I'm going to fly out on July 15th on British Airways, and I'll arrive in England on Sunday the 16th in the morning, at which point I will take either the bus. There's a half-hourly bus service direct from Heathrow to Oxford. It takes about 90 minutes. It's about 25 pounds. And you can also go into central London, take the train from Paddington, and then Paddington straight to Oxford Central Railway Station. I'm probably going to do the bus because it's easier and I don't have to really leave the airport. So the first day I have to arrive by 2 p.m. Then we register and get settled into our Oxford rooms. That's one of the things I'm really looking forward to, is you get rooms at Oxford like in the old days. Part of the program is that all your room and board is included in the package, except the only thing I've had to pay for is the airfare itself. So everything is covered for you while you're there, which is really convenient, and you get to stay on the college campus itself, and you get to go to have your classes in the college rooms, and you get to eat formal dining in the formal dining room, which is like out of Harry Potter. I'm going to be at Worcester College, which is where this program is taking place. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to get the whole Oxford experience. That's something I've always wanted to do, and I didn't have a chance to do when I went to university properly. I graduated about 12 years ago. So it's a real chance to become a student again and do something I never had a chance to do. So the first day is just arriving, getting settled in. And then the first day, Monday the 17th, every day there will be 2 lectures, followed by a walking tour or a tour of a place of importance in Oxford. And after those things, you can kind of do what you want with your day. So I'll run through the courses real quick to give you an idea of what the courses are. And I'll put a link in the video below that will have the full program that we're doing. The courses are Old English and Old Norse, a linguistic contest, Divided by a Common Language, British and American English, What is Old English, Rot in the Middle, English Writing in the Later Medieval Period, Fire New Words, Shakespeare Dramatic Language, The Making of the Oxford English Dictionary, Jane Austen's Language, The Future of English, Writing and Reading Words in Wartime, and New English Words. Each lecture is about an hour and a half long, so it's not going to be too taxing. I'm really looking forward to it. There's no actual coursework. I don't have to take an exam or write an essay or anything. There are other programs where you have to do that. But since this program is only a week and the courses are so short, there's no actual coursework. But you still get a little certificate when you're done saying that you've done it. So I can't wait to hang that on my wall. And then, so all the lectures are done by 12:30. So then you're on your own for lunch, which there are plenty of great places to eat in Oxford, and I can't wait to visit some favorite haunts. And then from 2 to 4 each day, there's a tour of some kind. The first day is a Oxford walking tour with Blue Badge guides. The second day is a visit to Keble College. The third day is a visit to the Ashmolean Museum, which I haven't been to, so I'm looking forward to that, especially after watching Inspector Morse where the plot revolves around the Ashmolean. Thursday is a tour of the Weston and Bodleian Library, which I'm really looking forward to because those, you can't just wander in there and have a look around because they're working libraries, so it's cool to have a guided tour. I mean, the libraries have like 12 million volumes in them. They can't even fit it all there, so it's going to be really cool to see how that library runs. And then the last day, there's not a tour, but there's like a closing reception. So my schedule is going to be pretty packed during the week I'm in Oxford, but there's going to be a little bit of a free time as well. After the tours each afternoon, there's a formal dinner, or not a formal dinner, there's a dinner in the dining hall, and then I can do what I want with my evenings. And you may not know, but because England is further north on the globe, it doesn't get dark until 10:30 in July. So I'll have a lot of daylight left to do stuff, and I'll get into what I'm going to do in a second. So that's everything that I'll be doing there. I leave Saturday the 22nd, and then I have a ton of cool stuff planned, which I'll get to a little later. But first, I want to finish talking about while I'm in Oxford. As far as things I plan to do while I'm there, I'm going to shoot video. I've got a few videos drafted out that I want to shoot while I'm there, like top 10 things to do in Oxford. So I've got to get shots for that. I really want to visit Blackwell's. Blackwell's is a fantastic bookstore. It's probably the best bookstore I've ever been to. They sell new books, and there's a section that sells used books, but they're mostly known as a new book retailer, and they kind of have a monopoly on academic books in Oxford. So, and it's an amazing store. And last time I was there, I bought so many books I had to have them shipped home, which didn't cost that much, and they were happy to arrange it. But it's I'm going to have to go in with a budget, and I'm going to have to stick to it, or else I will be very bad in Blackwell's. There's a couple other shops I want to visit. I wrote an article a couple weeks ago that I'll link to in the comments on my kind of top 10 things to do in Oxford, where I talk about the places I like to go. So I highly encourage you to read that. I'll put a link down there. I'm going to visit some favorite restaurants. I want to visit some shooting locations that were featured in Inspector Morse. I'm going to have to take a selfie outside the Oxford police station. I believe there's a statue there as well. This is a tribute to Morse. I want to visit the Oxford Botanic Gardens because apparently they rival Kew. I've never been there. There's a few walks I want to do as well. I'm going to go, I've got some books right here. I found this book, 50 Walks in Oxfordshire. And there's one or two, I obviously won't have time to do all of them, but there's a couple ones that I really want to do. This one that I want to do is, it's a Wolvercote to Godstow Abbey, and northwest of Oxford there's the Wolvercote Common, or actually it's called the Port Meadow, sorry, I got that wrong. But Wolvercote's kind of like a little suburb in Oxford. It's just 10 minutes from the city center by bus, and they've got this walk that does a loop along the Common, which is like 1,000 years old, and they have people there have common grazing rights, and so it's really quirky English tradition. And then there's a walk through Wolvercote, which is where J.R.R. Tolkien is buried along with his wife. So I want to stop by there and pay my respects. I'm a huge Middle-earth fan. There's also a ruined abbey that I want to check out because I cannot resist a ruined abbey when I'm traveling. And it's a short walk. It's only 4.5 miles. It says it takes 2 hours. So it's something I can do in the evening. It'll make for great pictures for Anglotopia because I'll have that late afternoon sun. So that's one of the walks I want to do. I also bought this book, City Walks in Oxford, and it's got I think 20 or 30 different walks that are in central Oxford. So if I get either bored with the walking tours that I have arranged, or if I want to go on more, there's several different walking tours I can take that will show me all kinds of cool stuff in Oxford, that will take it in some of the sites I want to see. This is a really handy little book. I got both of these on the website, The Book Depository. They're a UK-based bookstore, but they ship worldwide for free, and the prices are heavily discounted. So I think I got both of these for like $20 with free shipping. And it took about a week for them to get there. Next time you're in Oxford, I highly recommend getting the A to Z Street Atlas. This is really cool, really useful for trip planning. It has the entire street grid of central Oxford, so you can see everything, see all the streets and everything. So this is very helpful in planning. A few years ago, when I visited Oxford for the first time, I bought this book, The Insight Guide to Oxford. This is a very good little guidebook. It has all the key attractions, and it has a series of walks that kind of take you to the main stuff. You know, it was only £7. I think I got it on a book depository as well, and it's really, really good resource. It gives you all the key stuff. There's stuff about little Oxford traditions, stuff about off the beaten path stuff that you wouldn't normally see in a guidebook. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend getting this. This is a really cool map I bought when I first visited Oxford in 2012 on a flying-in visit. We were only there for a few hours. But it's a beautiful drawing of central Oxford. It's a hand-drawn map that shows you architecturally accurately all the different buildings, all the roads, with a view of with an aerial view of everything. It's a really cool map. I'm a map nerd, so I love stuff like this. Great for planning. I may actually take it with me because I'm a very visual traveler, so it's good to see things on a map that has what they look like. And then the final thing about Oxford that I got is a trusty Ordnance Survey map. If you're not familiar with the Ordnance Survey, they are the official government organization that maps Britain, and they produce the most beautiful little maps. This is the orange maps. They're from the Explorer series, and it shows up to 1 to 25,000 scale, and the detail is amazing. And if you're going to walk anywhere in Britain, you must get the Explorer map because it will show you all the public footpaths, all the rights of way, all the national trails, the roads, everything, key sites to see, ruins. They're really cool. Give you an example of what it looks like. This is Oxford right here on the right, and it gives you everything, and it's very detailed. They're very cool maps to look at. You can't see it because I have the camera facing this way, but on the opposite wall I have a bunch of OS maps hanging on the wall. They're great just to stare at. They're works of art in themselves. They also have a mobile app, which is very helpful. Now if you buy the map, you can get the mobile version for free. So that way you can plot yourself directly where you are, the GPS on your phone with the OS map. It's really handy. But always carry one of these with you if you're going for a walk, because if you know how to read a map, you can find a route wherever you are. You can't find these in the US. Sometimes I found them in random bookstores, but OS does not sell them here. So you have to buy them from the UK. I discovered a little secret. I mentioned the book depository before. The book depository also sells these maps. They sell them at 20% off, and shipping is free. I think I got this map for $8, which is actually cheaper than it would be if I bought it while I was there. So check out the book depository to get your OS maps. So that is the first week in Oxford. So obviously it's very packed. I have a lot to look forward to. It's going to be a lot of fun. And obviously I'll share on all our social media channels everything I've seen and done. Now, I always like to read up on places I'm going, and as I'm going to be spending a lot of time in Oxford, I wanted to read up on the history of Oxford because it's very interesting stuff. So the first thing I always do is I get books. And I've got some really cool books. I found these in my local used bookstore. I've got this one. It's called Oxford Days, and it's a account of what it's like to be a student in Oxford. So we're looking forward to reading this one. This one is Oxford and the History of England, and it's about the city and its role in English history and the history of the university. I've started it. It's pretty interesting so far. It's a little dry. It's also really old. I think this was published in the 1960s, but it's showing its age. But I found this at a used bookstore as well. This is Oxford and Old Historical Photographs. I love old pictures, and it's a really cool look at Oxford's history. And this I picked up last time I was there. It's a brand new exhaustive, gigantic history of Oxford. Sort of an official history. It's almost 1,000 pages, I think. It's or 900 pages. I will not have time to read this before I go, but I'll read it when I get back, and I cannot wait. It should be very interesting. It covers everything about the university and its role in British history, so it should be a very interesting read. It's more of a history of the university than the city, whereas the other book is a history of the city along with the university, if that makes sense. So, some cool books to look through. Now, when I am done with my time in Oxford, I'm not coming home. At least, sounds a little dire. I will be coming home, but I'm not coming right home because the course ends on a Saturday. That's like the most expensive date to fly home. So to make the cost of the plane ticket work with the budget we had for the donations we got, it was actually cheaper to extend my trip a few days and come home when the flight is cheaper. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to take advantage of that by exploring some bits of England I haven't been to before. And this took quite a bit of thinking. Given the opportunity, I could visit anywhere in England that I had time to visit. What would I visit? And I went through a few itineraries and options and thought processes, and I really wanted to visit Hay-on-Wye, which is the town made of bookstores. It's on the Welsh border, but it's a little off the beaten track. And I'm going to have a rental car, but it's 2.5 hours from where I'm going to be, and that's just a little too far to go. So I decided not to do that and save that for a different trip when I can go and actually stay nearby and sort of get the whole experience of Hay-on-Wye. Forgive the barking dogs in the background. I wanted to possibly visit Northern England. I haven't been to Yorkshire and the Lake District yet, and to go in July in the summer would be the perfect time to go. And I really want to visit those areas. Our readers really want us to visit those areas. I'd love to have pictures for the calendar. The only problem is that it's a 4.5 to 5 hour drive from southern England to get to Yorkshire and the Lake District, and then a 4.5, 5 hour drive to get back to the airport when I leave. And that's a whole day cumulatively in the car, and I've only got 3 days. So I just don't have enough time to go to the north. So we're going to save that for a future trip, possibly next summer, where we can do Yorkshire and the Lake District and give the whole area a couple of weeks, because it deserves more than a couple of days. So faced with those things, what did I end up deciding on doing? Well, I'll get to that. I mentioned I'm going to be renting a car. I love driving in England. I've done it half a dozen times now. Driving there is just like driving in anywhere else. It's just on the opposite side of the road, so it doesn't really faze me anymore. And I call it my Anglophile Zen place. I love driving through the English countryside, classical music playing on the radio, driving through country lanes, villages, towns. It's my Anglophile happy place. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm picking up the rental car in Oxford. I usually rent with Hertz because I'm a gold member, and there's benefits to that. And we've rented from Hertz half a dozen times and never had any issues, even when there was damage on a car. So I'm picking the car up on Saturday, and then I'm driving to Woodstock, which is just northwest of Oxford. You may be familiar with Blenheim Palace. That's where Blenheim Palace is. I've actually been there before, but I'm going there again. For the primary reason is there's something called a Battle Proms concert on that night. And if you're not familiar with the Battle Proms, if you're familiar with the last night of the proms that airs on the BBC every year, it's a patriotic British concert with classical music, British songs, British patriotic music. Everyone celebrates, and it's a big event, and it's very popular. It's one of my favorite things to see. It's also very hard to get tickets to. So there are other organizations doing something similar, and the Battle Proms is a concert that does a very similar program of British patriotic classical music, but the biggest difference is it's the concert with Spitfires. And I'm a huge AV geek, and I love Spitfires, and there's a Spitfire display during the concert. So I'm going to that. And it's at Blenheim Palace, which is it's just the most beautiful non-royal palace in Britain. The concert's on the grounds, there'll be a Spitfire, there will be a horse display, there's a parachute display. It's a whole event that's worth doing. So I got in touch with the press department of Battle Proms, and they provided me with a ticket. All I have to do is show up. So I will show up and I will film as well, and I'll make a little video about that and write an article about that experience. But that's not till the evening. So I'm driving up to Woodstock. I rented a hotel, which is actually the last hotel that had vacancies in Woodstock because all the other hotels were booked for the concert already. So I booked a hotel that's in the central Woodstock. I can walk to everything once I park the car. I can walk to Blenheim Palace. I've downloaded a cool little walking tour of Woodstock itself. It's a very beautiful little town. It would be worth visiting if Blenheim Palace wasn't next door. Nearby, Winston Churchill is buried in Blaydon, so I may visit his grave if I have time. I've done that before as well. I've scheduled a tour of part of Blenheim Palace that you have to pay extra to get a private tour of because it's the private apartments. Not done that before. So I'm going to spend the afternoon exploring Blenheim Palace in a way I haven't done before. Return to the hotel, get ready for the concert, and experience the concert. So I'm going to need a few things for the concert. I'm going to need a collapsible chair. I'm going to need to pack a little picnic basket because it's going to be through dinner in the evening. So I'll have to do that. So I'll cover all that in the article I write about it, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And then the next day, I'm going on a steam train ride, a very long steam train ride. I'm a plane nut. I'm a plane nut and I'm a train nut. I love old steam trains and try to do the steam trains whenever we pass by when we're in England. And there's a company called the Railway Touring Company, and they do special steam excursions throughout Great Britain and Europe. And ironically, while I'm there, one coincides with my visit, so I can actually go on one. This one it's called the Royal Duchy, and it goes from, I've got a map here actually. It leaves from Bristol Temple Meads, goes south through Somerset, into Devon, into Cornwall, all the way down to Charlestown, which is where they filmed Poldark, believe it or not. So it stops in Plymouth, it stops in several places. You can get off, explore. You've got 3 hours to explore Charlestown and whatnot. Then you get back on the train and go back to Bristol Temple Meads. The whole excursion takes all day. And you're pulled along with a steam engine for most of the way. There's a diesel train for some of the way. Bristol Temple Meads is supposed to be a very beautiful train station, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. The only slight problem is that I'll be in Woodstock, which is here, and Bristol Temple Meads is here. So I have to get up very early, about 6 a.m. and drive 2 hours to get to Bristol to get the train, which leaves at 8:45 in the morning. So I should make it. I've got plenty of time. It's not that far. Then I'll be on the train all day. And then that night, when I get back, I will stay the night in Bristol at a Marriott in central Bristol. I figured by the time the train gets back, I'll probably be exhausted. So I'm just going to stay there for the night. And then if I feel up to it, I'll see some sights in Bristol. I haven't really explored Bristol. I've driven through there. I've seen the Brunel Bridge, driven across it a few times, but I haven't really stopped and seen the sights in Bristol. So if I have time and I feel up to it, I will do that. If not, I'll save it for another trip. So that's the next 2 days. And then, as I explained, I love driving. So I've actually got a book. I've got 2 books actually, but I'm only going to talk about this one. I got this a few months ago, from a used bookstore. It's the AA, it's the British Automobile Association, the best drives in Britain. And this book is fantastic. I love this book. And there is a drive in it that I'm going to take. And it's a 3-day, 2-3-day tour of the Weald of Kent and Sussex. And there's another Churchill connection. I can probably sense a theme here. I'm going to be seeing some Churchill stuff. Chartwell is in Kent, Churchill's beloved home. I've been there before, but I want to visit again because I'm going to be, hopefully, it's still being arranged as I make this video, I'm going to get a private tour from the staff of the house. I'm going to write an article for the magazine about Churchill's relationship with his house. I'm going to hopefully get a private tour of the house, and then I'm going to spend the afternoon there that day. So this guide, it gives you the map, it gives you all the places to stop and the road directions for this driving tour. So I'm basically going to do this. I don't have to plan anything else. I booked they didn't really recommend hotels along the way. I had to find that for myself. The day I wake up in Bristol, I will get in the rental car and I'm going to drive first to, because it's on the way, and I've got the morning to do stuff before I go to Chartwell in the afternoon. I'm going to visit Castle Combe, which is supposed to be a beautiful Wiltshire village. I'm going to visit Laycock Abbey, which is, you will have seen Laycock Abbey in lots of period dramas because they use it for filming quite often. There's also a famous stately home there, Laycock Abbey, which is most famous for its connection to William Fox Talbot, who invented modern photography. So as a photo guy, I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. I'll do those in the morning, and then it's a 2-hour drive to Kent where I will start this drive. I'm gonna kind of do it, take the itinerary they set out and do it my own way a little bit. I'm gonna do Chartwell first so I can give that a whole afternoon and give it the time I need for my research for the article. And then from there, I'm going to go to Tunbridge Wells, and then I'm going to stay there for 2 nights. The first night, I'm going to do the first half. The first day, I'm going to do the first half of the drive, return to Tunbridge Wells, and then do the second half of the drive. Stay the night again, and then the next day. So the first day of the drive, I'm going to visit Penshurst Place, Hever Castle, Knoll House, Ingham Moat, the village of Muirworth, and Lamberhurst. Obviously that's a lot to do in one day. I'm going to have 16 hours of sunlight, so I can be out all day. But if there's a few things I really want to do, I have them kind of rated on what I really want to do and what can go by the wayside if I run out of daylight. And then the next day, I would like to see Scotney Castle, Sissinghurst. There's a steam railway, the Kent and Sussex Railway, which you can actually take to Bodiam Castle, which is also on my itinerary for the day. I'm going to get pictures of lots of castles for the Anglotopia calendar. Visit Great Dixter, which is a very famous garden. And if I have time, I want to visit the Berlin Gap. Now this last evening, I'm not returning back to Tunbridge Wells. I'm going to stay in Eastbourne. Now you might be wondering, why am I staying in Eastbourne, a tired old English seaside resort town? Well, for one, I'm going to be very near the coast, and I'd like to see some ocean while I'm there. So I booked a sea view room in one of the hotels on the seafront. But my primary purpose for being there is the Berlin Gap is nearby, and that has a view of the Seven Sisters White Chalk Cliffs, which is a very famous view, a very famous landscape. So I want to get pictures and video of that. It's very important that I do so. You will have seen pictures of it everywhere, and once I take a picture and share it, you will recognize it immediately. So that brings me to Thursday, the 27th of July, and that is my last day in England. I'm going to have a few hours to see something on the way to the airport, but I got to drive to the airport and fly home. My flight's not till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Again, with British Airways from Heathrow Terminal 5 direct to Chicago. So I don't need to get there till about 1 o'clock. They won't take my bag until 1 anyway. So I can see something on the way to the airport. What that will be, I haven't quite decided yet. But we shall see. So that is what I plan to do on my trip. Obviously, there's a lot to do. I will not be able to do all of it, and that's fine. But the point is to see as much as I can, get research for the website, get video, get pictures, get notes down for the articles I'll write over the next year, and make the most of every minute I'm there. But also, I don't want to forget to enjoy myself. Studying in Oxford will be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so I want to make sure that I get the most out of it, and that it's not just work, that I'm also getting the intellectual stimulation that I want out of it. My wife has kindly consented to send me on my own, So I also get, as I'm a family man, I've got 2 kids and a wife and a dog and 3 cats. So I very rarely get to go do things by myself or go on trips by myself. So it's been a while since I've done that. So it'll be nice just to get the time to myself and to reconnect with myself and focus on the things that interest me and do it in a place I love, which is England and Oxford, and learn some things along the way. So it's going to be a very exciting trip. I leave in 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks from when I shot this video. I don't know when the video will go out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I need to thank everybody who donated to the fund to buy my plane ticket. As I explained when we asked for the money, we spent our travel budget earlier this year for the year in February when we went, and this opportunity came up, and normally I would launch a product or do something to make the money to buy a plane ticket, but I didn't have enough time. I had to buy the plane ticket quite quickly before the airfares went up, and it was going to be quite a bit of money. So I asked Anglotopia readers and followers on Facebook and Instagram for donations, and within 48 hours they came through and gave us all the money we needed for the plane ticket. And not only that, but we got lots of personal messages from people who said that they studied at Oxford or they always wanted to do it and couldn't, and they really wanted to make sure that I got the chance to do so that I could share it with everybody. So that really meant a lot to me, and I'm very grateful to our readers who donated. And if you couldn't donate, I'm grateful that you're reading the website to begin with. Not everyone has to donate. Some people were kind of mad that we asked for donations, and I can understand why. But we did. It worked. I got the plane ticket. I'm leaving in 2 weeks, and I'm very, very excited, and I can't wait to share it all with all of you. Thank you.